Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations, and we are going to be making a tabletop Christmas tree starting with coat hangers. Now for this you want to have wire ones. It's probably possible with the plastic ones. You just have to wire them up together differently. But what I'm going to be doing is starting with, now we want 6 coat hangers. So let me see, I don't know why, I have 8. And what we want to do is we want to take 2 of them and put them together this way. I like to start with the hooks facing down, and we're just going to kind of interweave them. So if I lay this on top, I'm going to slide this under. I want those to hook together. Now, this side is kind of a big guy, a big hook. And so I'm just going to squeeze them tighter together. And then we end up with this shape. So we are then going to kind of slide them into each other so that we end up with, and you're just going to kind of fit them together. We just end up with this kind of armature. Now, what I do have is I have some pipe cleaners that I've cut down, and I'm just going to wire these together just to hold them in shape. So I'm going to do it at the top, and I'm going to kind of do it down here in the middle. And I'm going to do it the opposite way down here as well. You can see how this wants to start to do this. So I'm just going to kind of do this again, just kind of giving a little bit of resistance for it to do that. Once we start wrapping everything onto this, it's not going to do that anymore because we're going to have other elements that are holding it apart. But this becomes our tree form. Now, you can, at this stage, use just about anything that you want to, just moving this back up into position here. You can use anything that you want to wrap it in. So I'm going to be doing greenery. I want it to look like a green tree, but you could use really fat, chunky yarn if you want. You could use, you know, those boas that are kind of all tinsel-y. You could use that tinsel boa to wrap around if you want it to look more of that kind of funky kind of tinsel look. I'm going to go grab my greenery that I just thrifted in the name of this, and we'll kind of get started with that part. Okay, I just put on 2 elastics here to kind of hold it in better shape. So what I do have is I have 2 of these kinds of garlands. These are from the dollar store. I did have this big fancy garland, but I'm concerned that it's going to be a little too stiff. Now, this operates very much like the tinsel, right? You're going to wrap it around, attaching it at key points, and just keep going up and create your cone, your tree shape. I'm gonna give a go with this really heavy duty one. I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to cut it off actually. We'll see. But with doing this one, it becomes really important for the fullness factor that I work all of those little branches out to one side so that they're all pointing out and I can zhuzh them after. So I'm just going to loop that one little end. And I'm going to attach this. And again, I'm just using some green pipe cleaners because I have them. And they'll kind of blend in. And then I'm going to do the same all the way around. So I'm going to want to attach it onto each of the legs of my tree. And that's what's going to help this start to hold its shape, right? It's going to keep all of those little legs where they should be. Especially if you're using greenery as substantial as this one. So I want to go, this is very awkward, this big thing. And it's got a lot of big pine cones. I don't know that I need to have 3 pine cones all in one spot here. So let me see about undoing them, especially this one's really ratty. It's very beat up looking. So we'll get rid of him. We can live with those guys. Okay, so I am just going to continue wrapping this fully around the base first. And ultimately, I'll be doing exactly the same thing, but starting to spiral it up toward the top. So you can see that as much as this is fairly tall and skinny to begin with, because of the depth of my branches, which are each of those little sprigs is about 4 inches. This is actually going to end up being 4 more inches in diameter at the base. So it'll start to widen out depending. If I used this stuff, it's not going to be nearly as wide. So think about that in terms of the product that you want to use to cover your armature. It's going to determine ultimately that finished diameter. When I go to start my next row, I can start moving up. And I don't have to do them super tight because I've got branches from this row that I can angle down. I've got branches from the bottom row I can angle up. So I'm going to take this row up right where my I'm going popsicle sticks. My clothes hangers are joining together there. And that's going to help me as well because I'm going to link them together so that as much as this pipe cleaner doesn't want to go through. So as much as I'm attaching this this garland to that, I'm also attaching those hangers together in that same join. So you can see, if I move all this stuff out of the way, you can see the spacing that I'm leaving, and that should be okay because of the fullness of my garland. If your garland is less full, meaning I was using something like this, I'm not going to be leaving as much spacing for it, obviously, because it doesn't have that same. Okay, I'm getting rid of that. It'll be okay on the floor. And I can just attach these in. So your spacing is really going to be dependent upon the material that you're using, the thickness of it, how much, all right, so how much floofability it's got. Like, so when we start to floof this all out, that it will still be super full. I get floofability is not a word. Now that I've got all that garland on, I need to go around and zhuzh it. I will say this, this thrifted garland was $7.49, which was an awesome deal considering how lush it was. And I got it for 20% off, so that'd be $1.40. So I maybe got it for about $6. These from the dollar store were $4 a strand, and I think that you'd need at least 2 of them. So I lucked into this one. But bear in mind, this, and with how full it was, I get it's very bare over here, I'm still zhuzhing, but this one, with how full it was 9 feet. So that 9-foot garland, which I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'll be able to cut it off, really didn't matter because I needed the whole thing. So I didn't need to worry about cutting it off. So up toward the top here, I'm kind of floofing it upward, and all of my rows, I think I'll be doing that, kind of pushing them up so that they fill in a little bit. But bear in mind too, we still haven't decorated this. We still haven't added any ornaments. We've got lights to add on. So you've got some flexibility in filling in some of the gaps. Now, if you were really concerned about it, you know, because like I used some white coat hangers, you could just make sure to use dark coat hangers. You could spray paint them all green beforehand if you were worried about hiding the color of them. I wasn't agonizing over it. Okay, I'm going to continue to fluff, and then I have some LED lights, that change color. Again, I just got these from the dollar store. But that factors into your cost. If you're reselling, if you're making this for yourself, you're worth it. And 2 batteries, obviously, into the cost as well. But I'm going to get the lights wrapped on there. I'm going to get this all zhuzhed up, and then I'll go grab some ornaments. I'll see what I've got and what look. I mean, obviously you can go with whatever color theme and scheme that appeals to you and that works for your decor. Or if you were making multiples of these, then, you know, I would suggest that you're making them with different looks so that if you had this on a bazaar table, something is going to appeal to everyone. Some people are the traditional, you know, red and green and gold kind of Christmas. Some people are silver and blue. Some people, you know, they like pinks or bronzes or whites, or, you know, you can get any variation in making stunning trees. But if you were doing multiples for a table, then I would definitely do different color variations and different styles and looks, just so that, again, you can appeal to a broader audience. You can sell more product. As I go to decorate this, I decide I'm going to do silver and blue tones, right? Sort of in the bluey, turquoisey green will all work together. I don't necessarily have perfect ribbon, but you know what? We just kind of go with what we got. I'm just going to be sticking balls on, but the one thing that I wanted to show you is, one, that I'm going to be wiring the balls on. I'm not using little ball hangers because this is something that I would expect someone to bag up from year to year. So I'm going to just wire them on. I'm using pipe cleaner. The other thing that I like to do, because these little clasps, lids, I don't know what you call them, release. So I just usually take a little tiny dab of hot glue and I just kind of put that one little dab on there to hold that onto the actual bauble, so that we don't find that over time the baubles start popping off and all we've got wired is the little clasp. So I'm going to be taking these, wiring them onto the tree. I've got the lights on already. I like the lights down by toward the center. And all right, so we got our little ball in there. We've got our lights on. I'm just going to attach the rest of the balls and see what else it needs in terms of zhuzhing, if that's the case. And then I'll come back. I mean, this part's just decorating a tree. There's nothing special about that. It was the whole, how do I get to the tree part that was the special part. This is my finished tree. One of the things that I did was I had these white poinsettias, so I tucked those in. When I took them apart, there were some extra leaves, so I glued a little ball into the center, and then I attached those in just so that I had extra. And I guess for me, it's more, I have a hard time with it just being all balls. It's a me thing, I know. I need more texture to it. This is it with lights. So yeah, they just happen to be color. They kind of change around, but it is what it is. I'm actually more of a plain white light kind of person too. So there you go. However, it's not all about me. It's about the different clients and customers and what they're looking for. You can see that this is very portable. You can see how wide it is though, because of that extra 4 inches based on the particular greenery that I used. You can use just those tinsel garlands. You can just use those fine garlands like I showed you. That would make it smaller and more tapered. And it just means you can use exactly the technique and get completely different looks, really completely up to you as to the direction you want to go once that armature is built. And for me, that was the main part of this whole tutorial, is just seeing how to be able to do that part, how to be able to take those hangers, merge them together. So 6 hangers, merge them together so that you've got something that becomes extremely stable and that you can go to town building an entire forest of Christmas trees with completely different looks and completely unique feels to them. Either one for every room in your home or a whole table of them to be able to sell at your next bazaar. Let me know what you think of this one, guys. Always appreciate your comments and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, take care.